Hello everybody! Today I've got some timers, some vintage timers. Now these aren't the exact ones from childhood, but they are the same type. My late grandfather used these kind of timers for the window chandeliers with the blue lights in them, which I still use to this day. The plan was to set some of them up and use them. Unfortunately, none of them work. And come to find out, they all have the exact same problem. Within the motor is a gear set. And it's this one right here. I obtained some replacements. This gear in the center deteriorates and the timer will not work. It won't advance on its own. This applies to anything with the type of motor in it that I'm going to reveal in just a minute. We're going to take one apart. I think I'm going to start with this Micronta. Every one of these is the OEM is Intermatic. As you can see, they are all the same, but just different colors and different graphics. I have one of the Sears that's got the cool logo on it, maybe two. Yeah, this one right here. That's the actual type that I remember from childhood. But let's crack one open and see what the heck's going on with it. Okay, let's get this one opened up. 3 Phillips screws on the back side, and it comes right apart. And this one is not polarized, and I'm wondering if that date code is the 40th week of 1972. Because it's got the old Micronta logo. And it comes right apart. So, like I was saying, any device with this type of motor in it will have the same problem, whether it's a pull timer or anything like that. It's all going to be about the same thing. And that's not looking too good. Let's see if I can get that in place. Very simple timer, which is a good thing. So now to crack the cover back off of it, see if I can do this with a flat bladed screwdriver. Just bending the tabs back. Alright, let's see if I can show what I'm doing here a little bit. Trying to bend this tab back at the same time kind of gently prying up on the motor cover. So I'm going to take a second small screwdriver and see if I can gently pry that up. Got it started, so it should pop. And there's the bad gear. I initially plugged this in and it did work, and then it started making an awful clattering sound and all the teeth sheared off the gear. So no good. So I'm going to pop this one out. Take a look at it and the replacement. Looks like a good match to me. Take a look at the stripped out gear maybe. Don't know if that'll show, but hopefully. And then I'll pop that new one on. Fits like a glove. And I'll put the second gear back on. It's got the clutch on it. where the synchronous motor will rotate the correct direction when power is applied. And then they're meshing again, and it'll only go counterclockwise. The clutch catches it if it tries to start going clockwise. So that one should be repaired. I'll try to demonstrate it going. See if I can come up with something here. I have the voltage set low, so it didn't start. As you can see, it's functional now. I'll demonstrate one that's broken and see how it does. See there, it started the opposite way, so that clutch got it back in the right direction. That one seems to be running nice and smooth. So that one is fixed. Go ahead and reassemble it, which is to put the 3 screws back in it, and of course put the cover on it first. Alright, so I found the secondary issue with this one. This piece here, which was kind of knackered when I pulled it apart, it sits down in that tab right there, but this side is supposed to have some clips to hold it in, and the clips are broken. So I've got the solution for that, the good old PR40. So put a couple of dabs in there, and that should be perfect. Go ahead and try to get everything set in place, and then put a little pressure on that for a moment till the glue sets up. We'll come back. Let's put that screw back in and see how that's going. I did go ahead and file the contact points while I had it apart. See if things line up a little better now. There's a little lobe there that should, when it's lined up properly, push that contact apart. And it's not, it's getting close. Getting real close. Maybe just enough to break the circuit. But always pay attention to this spring here and don't forget to put it back in. It just lays across there like that. So let me put it back together again and see if it's going to turn on and off this time. See how, if I need to adjust on it a little bit more. I have a little bit more confidence it's going to work properly this time. Turned on and turned off, so we're set on that one. I just got to make sure it keeps time. I'll put that on the time lapse for a little bit. I believe it's working. So I had it at 12 and it's at 12:30ish now. So we'll call that one good. So that's the Microna version of the Time All by Intermatic. Well, let's take a look at the next timer. It's a Sears lamp and appliance timer, also by Intermatic. Got a little smearing on the dial there. This turns super easy, so I suspect it's got the same issue as my chrono one. And that's what it does when that gear is stripped out. See, that's not going to get the job done. It semi works, but not really. Let's fix it. I'll probably have to get my brush again. Clean that up a little bit. That one's set. Pop that one out. Make sure there's no little bits of gear. I'll grab another one. And then that should work just fine. The original ones had a bit of lubricant on it, so I'm just going to put a dab of the lithium grease on there. I don't know that that's going to make any difference or not. But now I'm going to plug it in again. And let's see how it works now. And it decided to flip around the other way. So it's plugged in. There we go. And that is another one going. Now to make sure the electrical contact is in good shape. Go ahead and pop the cover on before I mess with that. See how this is. That looks like that's going to work. Nope. Something looks amiss there. Looks like all these are going to have the kind of the same issues. Okay. This one's no good. So this will be parts for something else, because the lobe's destroyed on this one. So that's unfortunate. Right there, there's the... And I don't think the PR40 is going to take care of that. See, that's where that lobe would go. Right in there, on the end of that shaft. So we've got a dud here, unfortunately, but that's okay. Lots of good parts in this one. So win some, lose some. Put that one to the side, put a label on it. Well, let's move on to the next one, see if we have a little better success with this one. This one has the box. It's a new improved version, now rated for 1500 watts. Just as a curiosity, This one's also the same specs. This one's got the cool Sears Roebuck and Company logo. This one's also spinning real easy, so probably that same gear is out on this one. Let's take it apart. This one seems to overall be in better condition than the last one. And these Sears ones are model 796.64410. See what we got in this one. Same kind of motor. Intermatic. We'll check that little lobe on there first. That seems to be good on this one. However, there's no response from the contactor, so that's gonna have to be adjusted out. Yep, we'll get that adjusted out. It's got a millimeter or two of clearance. But let's work on that motor. There's that. And wouldn't you know it, got a bad gear. Just make sure all the old teeth are out of the way, and I'll go ahead and drop that other gear and try to break it too. And we'll see if we can get that other piece working, the electrical contact. Next gear. Got a different style there. We'll go with that one. That one fits down in there. And that takes care of that mechanical part. Put a little bit of that lithium grease on there. Just a little bit. That should be sufficient. We'll put the cover back on. Now let's turn our attention to the contactor part, which may have the same issue as that other one. Let's see if that'll push down in there. Go ahead and file that contact a little bit. That looks pretty good. Go ahead and get this one done. And see if I can get this lined up where it'll function properly. Let's see here. That's definitely not going to cut it. Not quite. Just have to be some trial and error here. Not quite. It's getting closer. That might work. So close. It's pretty darn close, but not quite. Like it's opening and closing now. All right, put this little spring back in. Might have some success here with this one, which always is a good thing. Everything seems to be fitting pretty slick on this one. Alrighty. And here we are. See how this one sounds. It still rolls pretty smooth. I like these because they're silent when you're setting the time on them. This one's up and running once again, so I'll put it in the good pile. Let's grab the next one. It's another Sears plug-in timer. And this is the exact style that was from my childhood right here. This one's slightly newer because it's got the polarized plug on it. but it's got the same type of motor as the others. Go ahead and open this one up, which I think I have been into this one, and it's already cracked open and ready to go. Okay, that one, yeah, this one I had taken the gear out just to take a peek at what it looked like. This one's all sorts of messed up. We'll get it going. And also, a little bit newer, it's got plastic gears instead of metal right in here. These are plastic, and the older ones are all metal. So we'll pop this gear in there. Put just a tiny, tiny bit of grease on it. Almost looks like it's got a little bit on it, but I'll just add some more for a good time. That one seems to be jammed up somehow. Might help if I put the gear in the right orientation, maybe. Yep. There we go. Perfect. I'll double check it and make sure it runs, make sure this contact is lined up properly. And it is. Let's put the cover back on. There it goes. Perfect. Double check that cam right quick. Mechanically seems to work okay. Go ahead and plug it in. Plug my lights in. Turns off mechanically and with the on-off switch. And I'll time for the next one. It's an actual Intermatic time all. And this one's a newer version as well, so it's got the plastic gears. We'll see if I can get it going. Hopefully so. That one's fastened in pretty well, but usually one will give way and I can get into it. I think that's going to be it right there. Yep. And I don't know if you caught that, when I began to spin it, the gear just completely deteriorated. It just turns into mush. Just a matter of popping the new one in again. A little bit of lube. I think it's got some on it already, but I'll just make darn sure. Want quietest operation possible. We'll see how that works. Non-polarized, so it should just crack right off. Not quite. Well, isn't that something? Got one that's not wanting to run. That's a shame. But it's going to have to restart on its own. That's not going to work. Yep. It's not consistently starting. Try a drop of oil on that shaft, maybe help it a little bit. Nope. Just for the heck of it, I will try another gear. I think we got a bad motor, unfortunately. Not sure if it's just dirty or what's going on. Could have a hair around the shaft there. But it's going to have to start reliably on its own. And that's just not going to happen. So we got a defective motor here. It kind of is looking like. Even one of the old ones does nothing. Well, if I plugged it in, it might. Well then. That's interesting. So I may have to do a gear transplant. That one seems to be happy. See if it starts on its own. You can see that synchronous motor now going. Now it's going that way. Well then, I'm going to have to extract that gear. And probably with a hacksaw blade will be the way to go. Let me try this one. Well, I can't. So let me see if I can get another gear out. If we can't get that swapped out right quick. Yep, it just chisels right out of there. It's so crumbly. See if this shaft will work, or the rotor will work on that shaft. I mean, yep, looks like we got a winner. Sure all the old gear materials out. And if I can extract that gear, maybe get a hacksaw going and see if I can pop that out of there. Try to extract it via the hacksaw. Getting close. That might work. Getting close. Aha, got it. Let's drop that in here. Let's see what we got. Aha, it worked. Now let's see if it really works. Fantastic. I think that'll work. That works. So the mechanicals work. I'll go ahead and put that right at noon. And this Intermatic time all seems to be working. It's definitely advancing. So that's a good thing. So we'll go on to the next timer. Well, here's the last one I have for this timer session. It's another Intermatic time all. Appears to be new old stock. May have been used, but it sure looks pristine, and I'm not seeing any marks where somebody has plugged in and unplugged there, so I don't think this has been used. It's another D111 just like the previous one. I think this one has a good gear in it. So let's just set it. I'll set it for, happens to be midnight there. Could glue that label back down a little bit perhaps. Might be a job for the PR40, but let's just go ahead and plug it in. This one is polarized. Let's take one last look at the timers here that's been repaired. I was successful in all but one. This one in this box right here. It had almost looked like it had a small fire inside, so it was beyond what I could do, but it does have some good spare parts in it, so if I have another one with a different issue, I can fix that. But all these had the same gear that was bad, and each one had its own little minor unique issue, secondary issue to get them back up and running. So once again, Timer Madness 2024. Thank you for watching.